The following podcast contains alcohol-enhanced conversations about alcohol, as well as a potential for discussions about other topics of dubious, disturbing, possibly offensive, but usually hilarious interest. The opinions stated herein are solely of the person stating them, and any endorsement of these opinions by any other party is not implied. Foul language is likely, but intolerant viewpoints are not. Listener intoxication is advised. Hello, and welcome to the 11th episode of the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ed.
And tonight we decided to kick it up a notch over our usual compare two whiskeys with surprising similarities format, and instead compare three whiskeys whose similarities represent a relatively new way that the whiskey industry is using to add more flavor and complexity to their spirits. And that's by what's called finishing. And as usual, Ed's going to start us off by telling you which whiskeys we have.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. So we have three finished whiskeys, all of them finished in Caribbean rum cask. The first one I want to talk about is a Tullamore Dew. Another one that we have is a favorite of ours, Angel Envy Rye.
We've talked about it many times.
And additionally, our friend Gabe, a friend of the podcast and guest before, is back again, and he's brought with him a rum-finished whiskey of his own. Gabe, what do you have for us?
Well, I bought a nice bottle of Teeling whiskey. It's an Irish whiskey, and it's also a Caribbean rum finish. I thought it would be a nice little third man in surprise guest.
Yeah, that's very nice.
And I appreciate you having me back here again.
Yeah, welcome back.
Gabe sounds a lot better this time now that he has his own mic.
I know. We actually shelled out some money to buy some new mics. He, however, does not have headphones.
No,
so.
But that's okay.
He's still the redheaded stepchild.
We only have so many plugs.
And so many holes.
Yeah, I'm still an two input guy.
Yeah. All right, so how we're going to do this is we're going to pour a glass for each of us of each one, and each of us is going to take turns talking about it.
Right, and we completely expect them to taste different. I mean, we do have two Irish whiskeys, which surprised us because we thought there'd be a lot more bourbons out there that do it, but there really isn't.
I would say that probably the reason why a lot of bourbons don't do it is because what the Caribbean rum will impart is sweetness.
Right.
And bourbon's already sweet, so it's probably not a good match.
And the Irish whiskey, depending on the mix, can be very peppery and very barley-ish.
Yeah, malty.
Malty, right. Barley-ish.
And that's why probably the finished rye that we have tonight.
I swear to God, I am like a stutter. I cannot speak tonight. I better get my act together.
All right, yeah. Maybe
have another. Have a drink.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Maybe have another whiskey.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go away, pour Tullamore Dew, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. Your whiskey is important to us. Please stay on the line for the next available spirit.
All right, so I've always been a fan of regular Tullamore Dew. It's one of the first Irish whiskeys that I kind of gravitated to once I got past doing shots of Jameson. Because what this is the original triple distilled Tullamore Dew that ends up being finished additionally in Caribbean rum casks. Because the key number with Tullamore Dew is the number 3. They use 3 natural ingredients, 3 variants of grain distillation, 3 different types of maturation casks, and this makes Tullamore Dew the world's only triple distilled, triple blended, triple matured whiskey, and it yields what they call an award-winning flavor profile for true Irish character. Now, it uses 3 different types of Irish whiskey. Now, those 3 types are pot still whiskey, which is a mixture of malted and unmalted barley, and it tends to be very peppery and has spicy characteristics. It uses malt whiskey, which is once again mostly barley, and then it uses grain whiskey, which is a mixture of corn, rye, and wheat. And it uses 3 different casks. They're a ex-bourbon cask, an ex-sherry cask, and then a traditional refill cask is what they started.
This is just the regular Tullamore Dew?
This is the regular Tullamore Dew. It's in 3 different casks. So they've taken that and they've added it to a 4th one, which is the Caribbean rum cask. Right. So I think that's kind of worth mentioning, that they really have been big on the whole blending process, if you will.
They're finishing already.
Right, they're already finishing. Now, what the rum cask finishes is finished in the finest first fill XO rum cask to deliver sweet tropical flavors. With this XO rum cask finish, they pay tribute to the role of Irish immigrants in the development of rum in the Caribbean in the 17th century.
Oh.
This is from their website.
Right.
Irish heart and Caribbean soul.
So it's mostly bullshit.
Right.
That's what
Irish
you're saying.
heart. Well, Irish heart and Caribbean soul, we call it the beauty of blend.
Yeah, they call it.
Yeah.
Lies.
We carefully select barrels, they do, of previously used Demerara rum.
Demerara?
Demerara?
Demerara,
Yeah, I
yeah.
apologize.
Dromedary?
No.
Is that a camel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
So-
saying, Ed?
So we've poured ourselves a nice glass of this.
Yeah, I may have overpoured for Gabe.
It's okay. Gabe needs to catch up.
It won't go to waste.
We should say that as our starter, we drank a healthy portion of Blood Oath, the fifth expression from 2019. And the reason we did that is one of the three whiskeys that are blended together to create that expression is finished in Caribbean rum barrels.
And
So,
if you're all caught up, you should have already listened to the short in which we tasted that.
yeah, we did a short on Blood Oath. And so,
if not, what's wrong with you? Go back and listen to it right now. Stop this podcast and go back and listen to the short.
Easy now.
it was 8
Relax.
minutes and 35 seconds.
It's 8 minutes and 35 seconds of your life. Just do it.
Random belligerence.
Sorry.
Harsh.
Wow. So what do we taste on this, guys?
I don't know. I think
smell first.
I think it tastes amazing. I really like this a
it's
lot.
really good.
It's a good, light, crisp Irish whiskey.
Yeah, it's an Irish whiskey for the summertime.
Yeah, it's
Irish with extra.
it starts mellow
Mm-hmm.
very quickly. Then you have a slight burn, nothing outrageous, and then it mellows back again to another smooth finish.
Right. What's the proof on this, Ed?
It's 86 proof,
86.
and I have to tell you, I think it's a little bit more deep in flavor for a Irish whiskey. It's not a thin.
Definitely.
I like Irish whiskeys the way they are. I like the contrast between the bourbon and the rye and the Irish whiskeys, but this one has a lot of complexity to the flavor. I smell some vanilla. Of course, I always smell vanilla in whiskey, but I think maybe a little banana. Do you smell like a banana a little bit?
I'm picking up some
yeah,
banana there.
yeah.
And there's spice going on. There's a lot of spice.
I'm also, even though I don't like candy corn as it is,
Right.
I'm getting a bit of a sweet candy corn taste
Yep.
Right.
in a good way.
Caramel.
There's caramel there,
Yeah.
yes.
You know what? What this has done is almost pushed the Irish whiskey toward a bourbon.
Right, in a way. And what it says here is that you could taste caramel and banana, but also hints of dates and raisins, which I don't taste. But they said it finishes with very long and sweet with banana and caramel lingering, which...
Well, there you go.
So even they're saying there's not a lot of different flavors, but what they have is pretty strong. And
It's-
I
it's-
agree.
yeah,
I taste almost everything that they're saying.
I do too. Usually we're not. Usually we don't taste any of them, and I can
Right.
taste every
I
one
don't
of those.
taste dates.
Yeah, except
I
for
don't
those.
get a lot of dates either, for that matter. So it's only right.
Well, I do taste a little bit of raisin. I think the lingering,
Do you?
the lingering sweetness, which it's very subtle.
Mm.
As with everything when they talk about
Right.
with whiskey
Right.
or anything like that,
Yeah.
they bring out some odd tasting comparison, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't even know what that is,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'll
they're
agree
like,
with you.
It has hints of starfruit. What the fuck does starfruit taste like?
Random belligerence.
Sorry.
Wow. Well, I will mention that if you were lucky enough to be in Ireland, I feel like there's a lot of expressions of Tullamore do that we don't get here. They have a cider cask.
Yeah.
They have an old bonded warehouse version.
Is that like a bottled and bond kind of thing?
Maybe.
Yeah.
They have a 15-year-old. They have a Phoenix limited edition, which I have no idea what that means, but it's 110 proof. They have an 18-year-old single malt version. They have a 14-year-old single malt version.
Wow.
They have a 12-year-old special reserve Irish whiskey. And then, of course, the original and the new one that we're talking about here, which is the Caribbean rum cask finish.
Yeah.
So I'm loving this. I paid $42.99 today for it. I've seen it as cheap as $38.99, and should have got it then because it was too far from my house today. I had to grab it on the go,
Right.
and it took me 3 places to find it.
Really?
So it's still not everywhere,
Mm.
but it is there if you search for it. Is it worth $42? Yeah. Actually, I'm enjoying it as much as almost anything else today.
I'd say so.
I'd say it's worth $42. Absolutely.
I wouldn't go over 45.
No, because but you're talking about
it's right in
half
the
the
range.
price. You're talking about this is half the price of our favorite
Right.
Finnish whiskey, which
The-
is Angel Envy Rye. which we're going to talk about at the end. And so you tell me, I can get 2 bottles of this or 1 bottle of Envy. I have to tell you, I might get 2 bottles of this. It's that good.
It's a decision they have to make. I agree. I really like it a lot too. Gabe brought it to the tasting that we went to at Sergio's.
Correct.
This was the first time that we had tasted it, and I liked it then. I think I like it even more now.
I do, well,
trying it the
because
second
you know
time.
I had a lot of different whiskeys that night that were
Right.
getting in the way of it. This
Yeah.
is me just focusing on this particular expression and spirit, and I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
we're drinking in the same genre tonight, so we're not having a lot of different tastes going on.
Right. And Gabe, I thank you for introducing us to it.
Yeah, Gabe, what do you think of it?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like you said, we've all had the Angel's Envy before, and it is not nearly as complex. But it holds its own in its own style. It's got a nice sweetness to it. It's light. And like Ed said, I think that during the tasting, we tasted a lot of good stuff, but with that much volume and trying different things, you kind of lose what you're trying.
No, it all blends together to a point, and we've had that experience at different tastings because you just jump from one to the other.
Yeah. I mean, it is lighter than your typical bourbon, but it's not like, I wouldn't call this thin.
No.
Only in comparison with Angel's Envy Rye, which is very thick and syrupy. But you don't really have to proof it down with that much water because it's already...
No, it's smooth.
Yeah.
It's very smooth. And it's not fair to compare it to Angel Envy, which is a rye whiskey, and comes with a 100 proof punch, too.
Right.
This is an 86, and it's a smooth 86. Angel Envy is a smooth 100, but it's
And
still
yet we're
100
gonna
proof.
And yet we're going to compare it anyway.
Of course we are. Of course we are.
Yeah. So the next whiskey we're going to do is the one that Gabe brought, is the Teeling, and we'll pour some stuff.
Yeah, and then Gabe will tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. All our agents are assisting other customers. Okay, not really. They're just drinking heavily. If you need help drinking heavily, please stay on the line and begin drinking heavily.
So Gabe's pouring us some of the Teelings, and this is actually going to be, to me, the most interesting part of the podcast tonight because we're comparing 2 Irish whiskeys that were
That was beautiful.
finished in Caribbean rum casks. And so they're very different whiskeys from a starting point.
Yeah, so we figured we'd taste this live on air because none of us have ever had it before.
Right, so none of us. So here we go.
Yeah. Ooh, I get chocolate.
I'm getting a little bit of an orange thing going on.
Almost like a little Grand Marnier.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So, wow, one of my
a
favorite
bit of a
liqueurs.
zesty orange peel there.
Yeah, holy cow, that's different. Wow.
Wow. That's nice.
A lot of spicy fruit there.
Chocolate and orange and spicy fruit.
Yeah, a lot of orange there.
Yeah.
A lot of
So,
zest.
are you guys not tasting chocolate? Because I totally do.
I can't get over the orange right now. The orange, but
Yeah.
orange and chocolate is actually a good flavor together.
It is.
The chocolate's coming around now.
So
It's a bit more fire than the Tullamore do right off the bat, but it's
Yeah,
not overly harsh.
Yeah. What's the proof?
Proof is 46%,
46. And
Which-
what was the Tullamore do?
43,
which
Really
46 is typically Irish whiskeys tend to be around 40% from what I've been reading up on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's a bit higher. It's not burning. It's a medium mouthfeel. Maybe a bit of cinnamon. Slightly.
I get that
I would
exactly.
I would say cinnamon. Yes,
Yep,
absolutely.
little allspice maybe.
Little baking spices, some nutmeg, and some pumpkin spice latte.
Now you're just spitballing. A little back history on the Teeling Distillery. It's the first new distillery in Dublin since 1975 when Jameson moved out. They've got quite a history of distilling. Their family name goes back to the late 1700s, I believe. So there's generations in there of family history.
So did they move there after 1975? Or is it 1875? When are you talking
No,
about?
1975.
1975.
Yeah.
So where were they before that if they have this long history?
I only did so much homework, Ed. Please.
Okay, my bad.
Hey,
Well, it does say the spirit of Dublin on the bottle.
It was part of the Cooley distillery group, right?
Yeah, Cooley has ownership of Jim Beam,
I think
but
Jim
the
Beam-
family didn't want to be known as conglomerate, so I think they're starting out on their own. So what we may be tasting here could be early product, but there is more maturing in cask as we speak.
Gotcha. Right.
Basically.
So it kind of sparked a new whiskey rebellion, if you will.
Yeah, so there's a new kid on the block, and they're going to be making waves with this new stuff. I kind of like it.
I like it a lot. And
I like it a lot too.
And one more note about the bottle, which interested me, was the fact that it's a dark bottle. Typically, you see whiskeys and bourbons and ryes, all clear bottles.
Yeah, it's an opaque
black,
bottle.
very dark
You can't see
bottle.
in it. You can barely see the level of the alcohol in it, let alone the color.
And it has a bit more density than the Tullamore do. It is actually a lighter color.
It's amazing, actually, in that sense. You're right, Gabe.
Yeah, it's lighter than the Tullamore Dew, but it's denser flavor. It's a thicker quality on the tongue.
And it's higher proof.
And higher proof.
Listen, I love the Tullamore Dew, but holy cow, I think this is better.
How much did you pay for it?
This bottle I found was $43.
$43.
Wow.
Am I looking up history of it and different prices of it? I think that's a little lower than the average price.
But about what Ed paid for the Tullamore.
$1 more than the Tullamore Dew, and I have to tell you, I would pay $50 for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we got a bargain
especially
here.
because I was looking at Irish whiskeys the other day to buy, and a lot of the ones I like, the Redbreast, the Green Dot, they're all $60, you know? So to find something like this with this interesting flavor at the $43, $44 mark, wow. That's all I can say about it.
It's so good, Gabe's having more.
I've already had more, which is,
Well,
which is
I
how we
just-
get in trouble around here. This is one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. I'm making that statement.
Are you?
I just took another sip, and I'm like, wow, I could just drink this for like ever. No, I want ice. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, a little bit of water is bringing out some different things to it.
And it did that with the Tully, too. I should have mentioned that. Like, one ice cube in it. I like to do that because it starts out kind of fiery, like pretty much of a neat flavor.
I'm getting a little bit of milk chocolate now out of this, as opposed to
Yes.
dark chocolate when it came out neat.
Yep. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I'm definitely getting a milk chocolate flavor with the ice in it.
And honestly, the short that we did, we talk about adding water and ice to your whiskeys. So if you're interested in that, please check that out.
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to that one, then stop this podcast and go back and listen to that one. It's only 12 minutes.
Random belligerents.
Honestly,
Xanax.
it's completely out of line because really, the podcast is there for you to enjoy in whatever order you want.
I think what we should do is
I think we're done here.
We should stop and pour some Angel's Envy Rye.
Right.
And then we'll talk about that.
Welcome to the Whiskey Tangent Podcast. We apologize for the wait. And while you wait, you might as well pour yourself a whiskey because we're not going to answer your fucking call anyway.
Okay, so we're back. We poured ourselves a healthy portion of Angel's Envy Rye each.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Angel's Envy Rye whiskey itself. This is directly from their website. And it says, Angel's Envy Rye isn't perfect until it's finished. As malcontents, as we all are, we're particular about our whiskey. When we decided to release a rye, we knew it had to be something special to live up to the amazing response received by our bourbon finished in port barrels, which, by the way, I don't really like.
I like it a lot more than Scott. Give it a
I don't
chance.
really like it. Gabe, do you like the Angel's Envy bourbon?
I can't have an opinion because I've only tasted it once a long time ago, and it's good, but it's probably comparatively overpriced to what other things are.
I have a theory that Scott loves the rye so much that he feels that the bourbon is a waste of barrels. That's what I think. 'Cause I've had it.
I would agree
It's an enjoyable expression.
It's fine.
And they know it. It's priced, half as much as the rye?
Oh,
So
sure.
If it was $90, nobody would drink the bourbon.
No, right. Exactly my point. So Angel's Envy Rye, finished in rum barrels, is genuinely unique and worthy of master distiller Lincoln Henderson's legacy.
Who's Lincoln Henderson?
Well, Lincoln Henderson was a master distiller at Brown-Forman.
Oh.
Yeah, where he developed, and get this, you'll like this, Ed, Woodford Reserve,
My faves.
Gentleman Jack,
Nice.
and Jack Daniel's Single Barrel.
Wow. This guy's like my best friend. I didn't know who he was.
I know. In 2004, he retired from a career that spanned 40 years, but just 2 years later, he came out of retirement to found the Louisville Distillery Company with his son Wes, and together they developed a fairly revolutionary concept in the world of bourbon, a bourbon finished in port wine barrels. He apparently had the idea for it for years, but never got the chance to develop the idea at Brown-Forman.
Well, lots of people have done that now. So you tell me that it's that recent, the last 10 years, it's been that hot?
Absolutely.
Which was the spirit that he was finishing, the bourbon for the Angel Envy bourbon?
Yeah, so Wes's sons Kyle and Andrew eventually joined him, and they launched Angel's Envy Bourbon in 2011 to great acclaim. But only a few months later, after breaking ground on a new location for the distillery in 2013, Lincoln Henderson died at the age of 75. And it was apparently later that they had the idea to finish a rye in rum barrels.
Wow. I'm glad that I now know the gift that Lincoln Henderson gave me, not to mention the single barrel Jack, which everyone who listens to the podcast knows I love.
Right.
And Gentleman Jack, which is actually a nice expression in the Jack Daniels family.
Yeah, we talked about all those before. It's really surprising that he was involved with all of those.
Yeah, he's like the Lee Iacocca of bourbon.
Lee Iacocca is so random.
Well, he developed the Mustang for Ford and then went
Right,
on to
went on to
develop
Chrysler.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's the analogy.
So the taste profile of rye whiskey was a perfect fit for a rum cask finish. After sampling over 100 rums to find the right flavor to complement rye whiskey, the team's decision
I want that job, by the way.
was unanimous. Yeah.
Let's go drink 100 rums, Gabe.
Yeah. Angel's Envy spends up to 18 months finishing in Caribbean rum
Wow,
casks.
that's longer than I thought.
It's a long time. Resulting in an immensely complex whiskey, the mingling of raw, spicy, and earthy rye with a mellow sweetness of rum finishing creates an incomparably smooth and drinkable whiskey even at 100 proof.
Wow.
Now, we've talked about this before. This is Ed and I's favorite whiskey. I don't know about you, Gabe.
It is mine as well. It's bringing back feelings of like immense pleasure.
I mean, this whiskey is extraordinary. Now, the website says aromas of citrus, caramel candy, maple sugar, vanilla, oak, hazelnut, spice, and sherry wood.
I'm in on almost all that, but the maple syrup is so strong in the aroma and the nose. It hits you like nothing else. The ones that actually are flavored, like a Knob Creek maple or even a Crown Royal maple, this is almost as maple as that, but yet it doesn't have any maple directly in it. It's an amazing result of the finishing. It's delicious. And that's grade A dark amber we're talking. None of that, none of that log cabin stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking nose feel right off the bat,
just
I'm getting like campfire smoke. I'm getting marshmallows. I'm getting
marshmallows. Wow.
I'm getting a sweetness of like a burnt marshmallow.
It's
I'm
been a
getting
while
leather
since I've had
smell.
a good nose
Okay.
feel too.
And then when you get to the taste, you're right. I'm getting a lot of maple syrup. I'm getting a lot of butterscotch, like a
Butterscotch, absolutely.
not a cheap ass,
No.
I'm talking like a Werther's,
A Werther's
creamy
butterscotch.
butterscotch.
Yep.
Right, or one of them homemade ones that you find in like the street fair.
Yeah, like you meet an old guy on the corner,
Yeah.
and he gives you a Werther's out of
You
his
want
pocket.
a
Yeah.
piece
Werther's?
of candy?
You want a piece of candy, son? How about a Werther's out of my pocket? It's nice and warm.
What are you, Sergio's grandfather?
What are you getting in a van and never being seen again?
I'm sorry, Sergio's grandfather's dead, Gabe.
If that's the way to go, I mean, if that's what
just the
brings
way-
the bourbon
You
out,
totally ran over that.
I
He
know.
doesn't care that Sergio's grandfather's dead. You don't care, do you?
edit.
We always wish edits, and every time I've ever
However-
said edit, it never happens.
It's true. 'cause
Haven't now having this the second time. I remember having this a couple years ago. It was basically a surprise, like, hey, look what I found,
Mhm.
and I tried it neat.
Mhm.
I just had and I believe you, Scott, told me just take some, put it on your tongue,
Mhm.
let it dance around, and just wait and give it a couple seconds.
Definitely.
And I'm getting flavors like I can't believe that no other bourbon has ever brought out.
No
As a
whiskey,
taste.
no
I'm excited.
whiskey tastes like this.
This has to be my favorite whiskey ever.
Now, let me explain. There's people who don't like this, and Scott's ready to, challenge them to,
a duel. I'm like
Right,
Alexander
bare knuckle
Hamilton.
brawl.
He's ready to go for a knife fight, I swear.
Yeah.
I understand because it's
No.
a unique flavor.
I
If
don't
you
understand.
but if you don't like the sweet maple flavor of a whiskey, I can understand how, if you want your stuff to be really peppery and not sweet or scotchy, I get it. But I'm saying nothing tastes like Angel Envy Rye. It's a one-of-a-kind expression of a great spirit. And now the only drawback to it that I've been able to ascertain is it's about
Cha-ching.
$90. Now, we can get a bottle of Tullamore finished
Mm-hmm.
in rum cask and the Teelings that we had for the price that we spent for the Tully.
It's true. What's amazing about this is that people taste the flavors in whiskeys. They're doing reviews online, or when you're tasting it with your friends, you're just tasting hints of those things. It's very subtle. This
Yes.
is every flavor that you taste is so intense.
Absolutely. Caramel candy, hazelnut, rye, oak, vanilla, caramel corn,
Yeah.
maple syrup.
Gabe said this earlier. Every time you taste it, you taste something different.
Yeah.
Like the website, though, interestingly says on the palate, all they taste is sweet rum, sherry wood, and soft oak, and that's just bullshit.
No.
I taste everything that they say is on the nose.
Yes.
On the palate.
Absolutely.
The
I agree.
caramel candy, the maple sugar, especially the maple. You could pour this on pancakes, and you'd have a fucking breakfast that you would
Hell,
not forget.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, drunken-
Exactly.
On Belgian waffles.
Yep.
How
A drunken
amazing would this
breakfast
be?
bitches.
Yeah, drunken
Yeah,
breakfast.
you could incorporate this into a syrup, and that's a breakfast of champions right there.
The local lounge, the Whiskey Lounge in Mount Holly, they had a Whistle Pig tasting. What they had there also was that Whistle Pig,
Oh,
the
right.
distillery, makes its own barrel-aged maple syrup. And I have to tell you something. It's about $25 a bottle. And I'm telling you right now,
It's really
it
good.
was the
It's really good.
best maple syrup I've ever had in my life. It was spectacular. So in case you want something different, you need to get someone that weird gift, Whistle Pig maple syrup.
Is that
Order it up.
Is that a proof syrup? Is that alcoholic
No,
or just
it's
straight
just straight maple syrup.
tasting Whistle Pig syrup?
That's correct.
That sounds
Just-
awesome. I mean, if I could afford to have this every weekend, I mean,
Right.
this is extraordinary. I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many flavors coming out on this bottle.
It's definitely one that you don't want to put too much ice into it.
No.
You don't want to
It's
put
act-
too much water into
Right, if
it.
you like cold whiskey, this is what the globes are for.
Mm.
This is what those big, like, it looks kind of like, a little bit obnoxious to have a big giant block of ice in your glass, but this is what it's for.
Yeah.
To cool it without watering it down rapidly, because you don't want to water this down.
You just want to take a little sip of it, and like Gabe remembers me telling him, just take a little sip of it, put it on your tongue, let it dance around.
Let it do its dance on
let-
your tongue.
Let it do its thing.
Make sure you tip it when you're done too.
Oh my God, it's like a lap dance for your tongue.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Not that
like-
we know anything about that.
No, we don't know. Well,
We're
Gabe
good
doesn't.
boys.
Gabe's the only one married
Shut
still. Anyway, Maria doesn't listen to these, does she?
Edit.
edit that out.
Anytime I've ever asked for an edit, never happened.
No. So I forget what we were just going to talk about right after this.
Oh, well, it's interesting when you talk about a finished whiskey is basically a whiskey that's been aged naturally, and then they finish it in something different to improve it. And it made me think about how they used to have finishing schools in England and America.
For
and places-
people.
For people to
Yeah.
finish them, to give them some decorum and some etiquette. And we,
Actually, to be a little fair, I think it was mostly for women. Finishing schools
Yeah, I
for-
think so.
It was a little misogynist.
Well,
It's like,
I mean,
girls need
to a
help.
point, but there was etiquette books that detailed both sexes and social settings and dinner parties and how to act. And I think that it brought up an issue that we were talking about before we got started tonight, how we've had kind of a slide back as far as etiquette goes for ethics and how people approach different situations.
What Ed's saying is people are dicks.
Well,
That's what
like,
he's saying.
I'm worried about the younger generation who I feel like, I mean, how many times have you walked into a store and the sales clerk is on the phone with a friend? Now, they're ringing you up and they're talking to their friend like they don't even engage you.
Yeah,
It's
that's fucking
it's
weird.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And it's usually when you're at a place where there's no boss, it's like they just a worker by themselves and they're just doing whatever they want. And no one's taught them that that's inappropriate. And driving's another thing. On the way over tonight, my exit's coming up. I'm in the middle lane. I want to get over to the right lane to take my exit. Now, I'm like 150 feet, 200 feet for the exit. I put my signal on. It's a turn signal. It's not a turn request. Okay?
Right.
I'm coming over to my exit. I'm letting you know I'm
Yes.
doing that. Now, there's a car abreast of me. I slow up and I let them move forward. And then my goal is to take the space behind them. Now, the asshole behind them speeds up and fills the space. That's a dick move because I was ahead of them. I let the other car go forward so I could come into that lane. I'm signaling that I'm trying to come over. You don't get to decide whether my fucking car comes over into your lane or not. You don't have that power. All right? Don't be a dick. You have to let me over so I can get to my exit.
Yeah, but you know what? On top of what you just said, the worst dick move is when they block you
Yeah.
and then they go past you.
Right.
You finally get a chance to get over, and if then they get into the lane you were just in.
Right.
That's a top of a
And
dick
Gabe's,
move.
by the way, Gabe's a professional driver. So there's
Yes.
nobody who deals with more bullshit
Oh my God.
than Gabe.
I see this all the time,
Right.
and somehow
He's a
I
truck
haven't
driver?
killed anybody.
Do you get
hopefully.
road rage every day?
I do, but I've learned to contain it.
Because I do, and I'm not a professional driver.
I see it all the time. What Ed just described, there's a lot of I'll be damned if I'm letting you in my lane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if 300 feet from now, we're going to be stopped at a red light,
Right.
but you're not getting my space. Well, you know what? Stop being a dick.
Right.
And also cutting you off dangerously. Like getting in front of a truck without enough room is really dangerous.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with just about attention span. Like, you would not believe how many people I pass. I mean, I sit in the truck all day, and I can look down into cars, and I see people, they're on their phones.
Can you see if they're naked?
I haven't seen naked, but I've seen some weird stuff, and I won't get into that. I say about 50% of the people I see driving are on their phones. I've seen people eating bowls of cereal behind the wheel down a highway.
Lucky Charms?
I believe it was all fiber. All brand.
All brand, yeah.
I had a bowl of Cracklin Oat Bran last week.
Oh, I love that.
I love
because somebody
Cracklin Oat
had
Bran.
it, and
It's expensive,
I never
though.
had it before.
It is. It's like $4 a box, and you get
Yeah,
like
but-
3 bowls out of it.
Yeah, but the
Stupid.
bowls take you like a half an hour to eat.
Right. I
Holy
know.
shit, dude.
And
I
my
had
kids
a-
always eat all mine.
like 9 o'clock at night. It was like I wanted something to eat. I'm like, oh, we have cereal. I'm like, Cracklin Oat Bran. I never had that. So
What?
then
You never had Cracklin Oat Bran?
I didn't. It reminded me of my Grape Nuts story. The first time I had a bowl of Grape Nuts, it took me like maybe 2.5 days to eat it, and it was like I was a little kid and I didn't know what it was, and I poured myself a normal bowl size, and
2.5 days.
I remember my young youthful jaw was tired from eating the Grape Nuts.
I mean, they're stones. You're like
Oh
you're
my
chewing
god, it was
stones.
so
Right.
much.
Yeah.
It was the densest stuff I've ever eaten in my life.
They're
So
good, though.
Grape nuts are not good.
They're okay.
No, you're fucking insane.
it's
Maybe so.
yeah, it's like the stuff in the bottom of a aquarium.
It's gravel.
Yeah. So
It's
the,
goldfish gravel.
It's tasty gravel.
So the Cracklin Oat Bran, I'm eating it, and it's like I'm really chewing. I'm like, holy shit! Like it takes a lot to chew this. Like I'm like realizing I'm looking down on the bone. Like it's like Jesus brought the Cracklin Oat Bran because it never got lower for like half the bowl. I'm still eating it. It doesn't look like it's getting less. So
well, that was the 3
Right.
things that Jesus did.
Wow.
It was the fishes, the loaves,
and the
then
Cracklin Oat Bran.
Oat Bran.
That's right. And so yeah, I try shit the next day, just so you know, in case you're wondering.
What, you did what now?
I try shit.
Try.
Yeah,
You had
3
3.
times.
3.
Oh, wow. Wow. I bet your doctor who gave you the colonoscopy is happy.
Right, episode 3 flashback.
So, etiquette.
Right,
We were
so
talking
back
about.
to the etiquette.
Yeah.
Another thing that's interesting is that when there's a lane closed, you should merge like a zipper, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. But what happens is everybody stays in the left lane, but the reality is everybody should be in the right lane, and it should be a zipper.
I
We
totally
should be merging
agree
like
with
a
you.
zipper, and it's the most effective way. But we don't do that. We like stay back 150 yards too
No,
far.
I always get in the right lane, and everyone thinks I'm an asshole, and I don't care. If it's a legitimate lane, everybody should be in both lanes.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes. Damn it! Everyone, listen to this. Zipper.
Wait, hold on.
Zipper.
Gabe?
In a perfect world, yes, the zipper thing should work, but not everybody has common sense in this world, which is a whole other podcast we can get into.
Correct.
Right.
Common sense is not common.
Common sense.
Right. We could have a common sense podcast. We'd all talk like this. Hello, welcome to the Common Sense Podcast.
Good to see you.
I'm Scott.
I'm Ed.
We have a guest today.
Can I
Gabe.
finish?
No, we're on
Can
the,
I finish?
We're on the Common Sense Podcast.
All right, I'm done.
I don't understand why Gabe's talking so much. He's
Keep
like
us
our
on-
bourbon Sherpa. He's supposed to like help us carry our whiskey up to the top of the mountain.
He's definitely keep us on track. Like Ed and I are climbing Mount Everest.
I am the voice of reason.
and Gabe is our pack mule.
No, you can't call him mule.
No.
Sherpa's nice. Bourbon Sherpa's better.
A Burpa.
Did we finish the Angel's Envy Rye yet? Because I want some more.
You want some more?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Easy, easy.
That's okay. That's good. Thank you.
Scott, what other options do we have out there? We picked 3 of the rum cast finished expressions, if you will.
Yeah.
Which ones didn't we pick?
Sure. We were really surprised by the number of rum finished whiskeys. Angel's Envy Rye, of course, that we had. So I found this article on distiller.com that rated Angel's Envy Rye an 85, the lowest of 8 of them. Which is,
It's fucking sacrilege.
it's fucking bullshit.
Unless they're talking because it's $90. If that's a factor, we respect that. But,
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
doesn't say that.
No, they don't say that. So number 8 was Angel's Envy Rye. Number 7 was something called West Cork 12-year rum cask finished. It's an Irish single malt produced by the West Cork distillers. Number 6 was Glenfiddich Fire and Cane, which is Scotch. It's first matured in ex-bourbon barrels. So that's interesting. The number 5 was the Tullamore, which we have Caribbean rum finish. Number 4, the Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14-year. Number 3 was the Teeling Smallback. Gabe brought to us tonight and instantly become one of our favorite whiskeys.
Absolutely.
Number 2 is the Glenfiddich 21-year Reserva rum cask finish,
Cha-ching.
which is probably spectacular.
Sounds like a lot of money to me. 21 years?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's probably pretty expensive.
I bet it's well over 100.
And their number one is Pike Creek 10-year rum barrel finish. It's Canadian whiskey, and yeah, I was looking online for it, and I didn't find anywhere that had it in stock.
$28 is
What
their
is-
suggestion.
What?
That's why I
The
see
Pike Creek 10-year?
manufacturer sets retail price is $28.
$28. And it's the number one on the site. Now, they rated our delicious Angel's Envy Rye
Beloved.
that we love and we've just described to you as the best fucking whiskey that any of us have ever tasted. They rated it number 8 on the list. So, fuck them. However, Pike Creek 10-year rum barrel finish for $28. I think I'm going to get it.
I was looking for it. I know.
Did you? You look for it?
You weren't. You didn't believe me the first time I said that.
No, I believe you.
I looked. I did. You don't give me that look.
Random belligerents.
So anyway, to wrap up, the interesting thing that I noticed was that in our journey through whiskey, bourbon, rye, everything, we have yet to come across a whiskey that has been finished in Caribbean rum barrels that hasn't been spectacular.
I mean, agreed. Everything's over an 8 out of 10 tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm intrigued to go down that list that Scott read.
Mm.
I want to try each and every one of them.
Yeah.
And so that's our quest right now, and that's what we're going to do. And your homework, if you choose to accept it, is to go out and get the Tullamore Dew or the Teelings and have your own little taste of a Caribbean rum finish whiskey, because you're not going to be disappointed. I promise you're not going to be disappointed.
That's a great homework assignment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks so much for listening. We thank Gabe for joining us. Say bye, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks for having me again. This was great.
See you next time.
If you enjoyed this podcast episode, be sure to check out our next episode, which is way better than this one.
Oh, yeah.
Also, follow and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Whiskey Tangent. And follow us on Twitter at Whiskey Tangent. You can follow me personally at That Whiskey Guy. And follow Scott at Giant Cup of Awesome, spelled AWSUM, just to be annoying.
Hey.
You can email us any questions, comments, or love at whiskeytangent@gmail.com. And of course, you can find us always at our podcast website, whiskeytangent.podbean.com.